Hey there, I'm Bonnie Saratori with Spiritual Acceleration. I want to just share some info about the issue of fight, flight, freeze. It's pretty cool, actually, but I don't think we think about these kind of things. So when we think about that feeling, or we have a reaction or something happens and we feel ourselves like, either wanting to just resist and fight against something, or we're like deer in the headlights, we're frozen, or we run. Okay. So what's actually happening is, think about this. We all have what we call that reptilian brain. And why is it called reptilian? I know there's another uh, name for it, but ultimately we call it the reptilian brain. Okay. So when you think about reptiles, okay, they're not highly evolved, meaning, like think about snakes and lizards and that whole reptilian world, iguanas. It's not that they're not intelligent, but it's that energy, that thought, the frequency of, fight, flight, freeze. Okay. So if you get and understand that we as humans have evolved, but when we first came in, we were like nothing. We were like cells, okay? And as we keep evolving, now we're like these little amoebas, okay? And we keep evolving, and we become, more and more and more with awareness. And ultimately, when we are in that reptilian mode, so to speak, it's like this is all about survival. So we're still in a survival mode. We may not realize it or think about it, but that's what's happening. We are in a survival mode. So when we have that, think about this. When we start coming into lifetimes of our human experience, and then we think about the different ways in which, it's again, it's that survival thing. Okay, and then it's also the fit, the survival of the fittest. Okay, so we know we're killing each other, whatever. So again, survival. Okay, so when we're trying to survive, it's like we learn how to, like if we freeze, we could also kind of camouflage. But basically, what's happening now is that energy is still with us, and we are still living that, and it's still affecting us. Okay, so think about this. I know many, many, many people who literally like freeze. Maybe there's an altercation, or maybe there's an argument or something. A lot of people just freeze. I'm not saying everyone, but that happens quite common for people to just kind of freeze up, and they can't think clearly. The words don't come out. Or how about this? For a lot of people, standing up in front of a group, terrifying. They frozen. The thoughts don't come. All that good stuff. So again, it's still there's a threat somehow to our own survival. And some people, like I said, some people literally, resist, fight, go against, and some people just like, I'm out of here, running as fast as they can. I remember back in the day, this was way back in the 80s, I had a good friend, and he used to call, what did he say? It was like, yeah, I always had my running shoes on. But it really wasn't about running because I was afraid. I just, just didn't want to have to deal with that kind of energy that was happening. So it's like, I'm out of here. So, everyone's got their theme, so to speak, with the default. Some people are like, okay, I'm ready to just fight my way through this, push against it, that type of thing. Or some of us, like frozen, don't move. And other people like, I'm out of here, So bottom line is this: we're still affected by that reptilian brain, right? So think about it. It's like in that lower part right above the occipital bones and through here that come into the brain area, the brain stem. But that it's like a small little brain in there, okay? So when we have traumas, which everyone does, okay, think about it. You've got traumas from many lifetimes, or there's been some kind of abuse or threat, or something that's caused us to be afraid, or we have to fight. Think about this when you go back into watching what happens with humanity. It's in that survival mode. I mean, think about it. Even in caveman days, it's the survival, hunting, other plans, And then as we kept evolving, and then now look at all the different battles and the wars and the history of men fighting, okay, even women fighting. But again, it's that survival thing. So we still have it. It's still active. It's still alive and well in our head, okay? So when we have that kind of trauma, because everyone does, everyone's got it, okay? When we have that kind of trauma, it doesn't allow for us to really just meet circumstances, situations, events with clarity, okay? It's like it kind of takes over. And the good news is tomorrow we have a group clearing to start unraveling that, to start clearing that. In my experience, like I've done lots of different clearings on this for individuals and different groups, that type of thing. But basically, what happens is when I look at the energy in there, in that in that reptilian brain, and when I go into it, the programming is still there. The carryover is still there. So what I do is I literally come in and start to clear out, like start releasing the energy frequencies. There's certain colors in there, okay? A lot of different frequencies of color. When I go in, I can tell immediately what each person does. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this person is like ready to fight. Okay. Oh, this person's like frozen, or this one's like ready to run. So what we want is we want to be able to be free of that reptilian brain, so that we can meet situations with clarity, okay, without the emotional angst or the emotional terror. That's what yes. So people go literally into terror, you know what I mean? Like something will happen and that threat happens, and then that reptilian brain kicks in, and they're in terror, okay? And it doesn't warrant the situation. The reaction is much greater than the situation. It's like, wow, why am I feeling such intense feelings? Why am I feeling terrified? Why am I feeling I'm going to die? Okay. So remember, we carry over energetic experiences, especially when it's connected to emotion. So when we're feeling threatened, like our life is threatened, we're at stake, or we could die, we could be harmed, or whatever. So that brain kicks in, and then the adrenaline kicks in. So it allows for us to protect ourselves, in a sense, unless you're frozen. So when we are in our lives, it's like, we can feel, wow, there's just something, like I'm so terrified, but why? And you're looking around and feeling, looking, sensing, why? There's no real threat here. Okay. But again, it's survival. Okay. Remember, reptilian brain is survival, fight, flight, freeze. So by going in, literally, I can start releasing energies in there. There's energy, there's frequencies, there's traumas. And by clearing out the energy in that reptilian brain, by releasing the carryover, the memories of the survival frequency, then the energy dissipates, dissolves, and then that reptilian brain is no longer holding the frequencies of the past. And it's like because it's not full of all the old energy, all the old memories, all the old traumas, it's clear of that. Then what happens is there's a more feeling of neutrality. So let's just say the same event or same situation occurs, then you're more able to just meet the situation. You're not in that fight, flight, freeze mode. It's more like, oh, okay, yeah. Oh, you're asking me for something. Oh, you want this. Oh, I did something wrong. Okay. So you're not in that, that defensive, frightening, terrifying, life, death, survival feeling that, we experience. Okay. Everyone has it. It's just a matter of what's your default. You're going to run, you're going to fight, or you're going to be like frozen. Okay. So good news is tomorrow we got that clearing, fight, flight, freeze. So it's just another way to allow us to be more of who we are here right now, and not being in these survival modes where we can meet situations differently, where we can show up differently, so rather than even that frozen place, like deer in the headlights, I mean, that's a big one for people. But also things get reinforced in this life, or every lifetime, but right now we're in this lifetime. So I'm just going to talk about this lifetime. But things get reinforced. Like, for example, when you're young or like a child. I know in my world, in my life, there was hitting, spankings, whippings, all that stuff, and you learn. I remember see that switch. My grandmother getting that switch off that tree, and my whole being would be like terrified. Okay, because I knew it was coming. So so we were reinforcing that survival thing. Like, there's nowhere to run. When you're a kid, you're gonna, you nowhere to go. You do things to protect yourself. I'm remembering. This is a crack up. My brother, my brother and I, we used to fight, and one day we were sick, and we had beds, twin beds, and then there was a window over here. My brother was on this bed, I was over here, and we were having a shoe fight. And so I threw the shoe and he ducked, and I broke the window, and I'm like, why'd you duck? Then panic. We were frozen, like, oh my God, so my grandmother comes, and we put books in our pants, because we always used to get hit really, with beatings with the straps and the belts and razor straps and things like that. So we put books in our pants thinking, help protect ourselves. But clearly it didn't work. But basically my point is, when we feel threatened, because when you're a kid and you're going to get in trouble for something, your whole body's like in terror, or you get belligerent and fight it, or try to hide or whatever. Okay. My point is that it's still in us. Okay. The survival thing is still in us. So we want to clean that up so that you have a more normal reaction, or a more efficient reaction to you're going to get hurt. No, or you know what I mean? Like, oh, even think about this, like driving, and then people freeze up when they're driving. Maybe this car starts to skid, you hit black ice, or something happens where you start to move. Not everyone is in control. Some people, totally freeze and don't know, the body is just locked up. You can't do anything. So there's many situations where that's going to happen. And when a child's been abused, a lot of them, they get broken, so to speak. You break their spirit, you shatter them. And when that happens, they have no ability to stand up for themselves, either verbally or, mentally, emotionally, physically. They can't protect themselves. They go into that frozen mode. Or, like I said, some people just get this fight energy and push against and, resist and get belligerent or angry or upset, or just fight. Okay. So we want to be able to respond, not react to whatever we're experiencing, whatever situation we're in. We want to be able to respond. Okay. So by clearing out, like going in and clearing out the traumas, the experiences that we've had throughout our life stream, the soul's evolving, not just humans, but we've been evolving, knowing ourselves in many, many different ways, not just here, but other time and space, other dimensions, lifetimes, all over the place. So again, we got all this energy and carryover memory. So by clearing that, healing that, releasing that, what it does is it allows for us, like, let's just say that, let's say that normally you freeze up. Maybe you got a boss that's like overbearing, and it makes you feel ashamed or embarrasses you or humiliates you, and you're always frozen. Okay. So after that gets cleaned up, here comes the boss, but the body no longer has that adrenaline running through it. It's no longer in fear, so then the boss comes and says something, and it's like, you witness it, you feel differently in your experience, and then it's not so frightening, and then you're more capable and able to respond, like, well, oh yeah, I can see you're upset. But no, that's not, I didn't do that, or I did that, and okay, I'll change it, whatever. But your body is no longer in that traumatized feeling, traumatized state. Okay. So again, like that feeling like we want to run away, just get away from it, can't face things. Okay. So as that gets cleaned up, then that kind of trauma where you can't face things, or, you can't stay present, where you have to just run, get away. Again, you respond rather than react. Okay, and the same thing with the fight thing. Okay, so it's all connected, and it doesn't matter which one you do. I mean, sometimes we'll do all of them, but we seem to have a theme. Everyone seems to have what kind of takes over. Okay, so we want to clean that stuff up, free you up, so that you're more able to be in the world in a way that you're not feeling afraid. Oh, that's another thing. That fight, flight, freeze, that reptilian brain stuff, we're always in a threat mode. You know what I mean? So we're always living as though there's a threat happening. And then when that's not there, then we're more landed in the world, and it's no longer feeling like it's unsafe, or there's a threat happening, or that hypervigilance that happens for a lot of people. Okay. So we want to land, people, we want to land here. We just want to be here. We chose to be here. We're meant to be here. We want to be here. And, we want to share the gift of who we are. So by being able to just truly be here without that, reptilian brain kicking in, that fight, flight, freeze, then life is much more pleasant, more enjoyable. Okay. And think about it too. Like a lot of people experience attacks like the powers of darkness, like dark energies that causes sometimes like a fear or a terror, And again, what happens is dark energies feed off your fear. So the more afraid you are, the more intense it's going to be. Okay. The more they're going to come at you, the more they're going to just, try to get you to, have that terrifying energy, because they feed off that energy. Okay. When you're not terrified or you're not afraid, and all these energies come at you, it's like, there's nothing. So there's nothing to come against. I remember once happened many times, but at workshops, working with somebody, and there'd be like this demon inside. Okay. So the demon literally would start taking over, and they would start making all these sounds and growling and hissing, and just like people would be afraid. There other people in the group would be afraid, like terrified, like, oh my God, and fear, terror, So for me, it'd be like, I just like, smack them and just say, this, you're not scaring me, like, not, knock it off or whatever. I don't remember exactly what I would say, but there was no fear in my body, So without that fear, there's nothing to feed off of. And without that fear, it's like their big energy, attack energy, vicious energy just kind of dissipates, because they're actually pretty frightened of us when we're in our power and our inner strength. Okay. So even the demons, even the dark things, even the dark negative things that are coming at you, no fear, no power over. Okay. So it's a good thing to clean up that reptilian brain, clean up your fight, flight, freeze, clean up the trauma, clean up the carryover, the memories that are still there, the survival that is what that's all about. It's to save your life, basically. But mostly that threat is no longer here. We're not going to get eaten. Okay. Well, maybe some people might, but but there are other threats, of course, but we want to be able to have that knowing, like for example, the knowing. I remember being in other countries, walking around or whatever, and I get the knowing to say, I go, oh, I can start to feel some kind of danger or what, just that, so I would just go somewhere else rather than, not listen and just keep on going and be scared. Okay. So you have more ability to take care of yourself, to protect yourself, to make right choices that are better for you. They're better for the body, better to live than that, than that survival brain that just kicks in. Okay. So again, that's happening tomorrow. It's the group clearing, fight, flight, freeze. Find it on our website. So, that's what's happening tomorrow. Okay. You want to get in on it. I mean, every clearing is going to change your life on some level. So, the more freer we are from our own misperceptions, from our own traumas, from the carryover, all the emotional angst, where it's like you can be here, and no matter what's happening in the world, you can still laugh, you can still have fun, you can still feel good, you can have joy and happiness. Okay. So even though the world's in chaos, falling apart, you're not so affected by it. And that's what we want, people. We're meant to be here, not taking on other people's traumas and not feeling bad for other people. We want to be in our own lives, in our own body, living, with the knowing, living to be able to take care of ourselves, protect ourselves, and know when there really is a threat, when it's really unsafe, or, oh, you know what, this is an overreaction, okay? Or to not even having it, but to be here, to be present. Present. How cool is that? So let me just see if we got what's going on here. But just curious about what? Okay. Hang on. I think this happens. Does this help with everyday tasks where you just kind of feel like your whole body? Yeah, hang on. Okay, Abby just said something. This was good. Hang on. Does this happen? Yeah, so Abby's saying, does this happen with everyday tasks where you just kind of feel like your whole body is in shock and can't do simple tasks or have to force yourself into the next thing? Yeah, I mean, okay, so just for clarity, yes, it will help with that. Absolutely, okay? But also, people, there's another piece to it where when we're always in a state of shock, okay, feeling like we're always traumatized and we can't function, okay, there's going to be severe trauma, sometimes even PTSD, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's coming from this lifetime. That kind of energy is carryover, people. Remember, here's how, like, we have these traumatic experiences, and this is how it gets carried over so that it's still with us, okay? It's the emotion that we didn't go through. So let's just say, for example, let's just say, I have to track it because so like with that, okay, let's just say that in several lifetimes back, there's an abusive situation where you get physically beaten to the point to where you can't, you're no longer defending, you're just, you're in a shock state, and the trauma is so intense, you're severely damaged, okay? Because we don't go through the emotions, okay, that energy will stay in our, what I call the soul imprint, because it gets imprinted in our consciousness, and then we carry it over, then we recreate, because we're trying to know it, trying to unravel it, trying to clear it. And the only way to do that is to recreate the intensity, so then now we can go through it by surrendering to the intensity of that emotion. People don't have the teachings. We don't know this. People didn't know this. So what happens, though, is once you go through that trauma and know it, then the issue is over, okay? And the reptilian brain is still going to be holding on to the past lives, the traumas. Is still in a survival mode. So even when I'm working with people at that level where I'm finding the trauma, finding the past lives, cleaning that out, I'm also clearing out the energy frequency that's still lodged in the reptilian brain. Then it's over, okay? So yeah, there's carryover. So Abby, like for you and many, many people, you're living in a state of shock, you're living in a state of PTSD, you're living in a state of trauma, you're in that hypervigilant, waiting for something bad to happen. But something has happened in this lifetime to reinforce that, to activate that emotion. That's what's happening. That's what's happening for everyone. Something has occurred that's activating that trauma, okay? But remember, we're trying to unravel the trauma by going through it to know it, okay? So, yes, this clearing is going to help with the shock, okay? With the PTSD, with the trauma, okay? With anxiety, okay? So, again, I will be going into the reptilian brain, but that's not just where I'm going, okay? Because again, the body's already in those states where you're already in a state of fight, flight, freeze. So I do go into the subconscious, start unraveling different things, different pieces that I'm finding, as well as shock. Like I said, the shock, the traumas, the PTSDs, all of that. So unraveling and clearing out those kinds of energies allows for you to be more here. You're more in your body. Also, what happens is when you have these intense experiences, a lot of your energy, a lot of your soul frequency, soul essence, soul pieces are not even in your body. Okay, so once we clear out the trauma in the body, then I can pull you back in, pour more of you back in. And when more of you is here in your body, of course you're more empowered, okay? Less traumatized, okay? More conscious, present, making choices, rather than reacting, okay? So lots and lots of good things will happen with this. And two, people remember, it took lifetimes and lifetimes to get where you are. Okay, so one clearing a half hour is not going to clear everything. This is why, you have access to the clearing and you can watch it as much as you want. And every time you do, more pieces, more frequency will be cleared and released. Okay, this is why I do it the way I do. We record it, you get it, you watch it again and again until the feeling's gone. Okay, so different ways to make life better for everyone. Feeling and get drained quick. I neglect yeah. So, and again too, remember people, if you can't make it to the clearing live, it's recorded, and still you save $5. I mean, that may not be much to some people, but for other people, saving $5 is good. Okay, if you buy it, even if you're not going to be present, you still get it for $5 less. Okay, so be there. Okay, I'm curious about that. Nothing I've done so far. Well, yeah. See, when you're not finding relief from something, it just means you're not finding, we're not finding all the pieces to something. Okay. It's the great unraveling, people. Okay, it's finding all the pieces to anything. Okay, hang on. Let me see. Ooh, hang on, what was that? All right, Clarice. Sounds like you had some intense experiences. Okay, again, I'm going to remind everybody. There's really no victims here. You have to remember, wake up. There's a co-creation. If we've had an experience in a past life, if we didn't know it, if we didn't go through it, we're going to recreate it and do it again. This is the problem. You've been recreating these same scenarios lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, on and on and on and on. Okay, enough already. This is a time period where we are meant to wake up, clear it up, clean it up, be done with it, and move forward. Okay, and also keep in mind too that the atrocities that have happened to you in this lifetime or other lifetimes, you've also done atrocities. Okay, so there's that soul dancing. I can wait. Just let me go further back. Yeah, go further, far. Oh yeah, there we go. Now I can find that person, the same person I was just talking about. Oh yeah, look what they did. Ooh, bad, major stuff. Killing people, beheading people, like this intense. Okay, so there's always some kind of dance that happens between. And again, people, what's important to understand, it's all about the soul evolving, knowing itself in all ways, because everything is creation. Everything is God. The lightest of light to the darkest of dark, and everything in between. There's nothing but that. Okay, so if we're trying to know ourselves, we're going to do everything. Good, wonderful, bad, horrors, everything. Okay, so again, it's still always about knowing ourselves. When we do, then everything shifts and changes. And the good news is like the work that I do and my team, we're actually releasing energies. We're actually taking emotion energies out, so you don't have to go through the emotion of the energy that you're trying to know. Okay, now keep in mind, the reason this is happening, that we're able to lift things out now in a way we were not able to do before, is because of the new paradigm. The light of the new paradigm makes everything come to the surface. Now we can literally lift things out rather than the old way where we had to go through the emotion of it. I mean, there's still places where we still have to do that, but a lot of the emotion can be lifted. And that part of it has to do with the fact that, we've lived so many times of the same thing. We know it, but we haven't surrendered to it, okay? And with the new paradigm, because of that knowing, now we can start to lift that energy out, the traumas out, the things that cause shock and anxieties and depressions. Now that those, the new paradigm is, it's like the light is drawing things out, pulling things more to the surface, and it's not so buried in the subconscious. And so, we can go into the subconscious and start breaking energy up and freeing things up. So things are now lifted up and out, which is what I do. Okay, so the fast track, people, the fast track. So again, this is happening tomorrow. And, you're going to want to, if you got any kind of traumas at all, you're going to want to get into it. Okay. Yeah, it is. But here's the thing. Okay. Think about this. It's, it is hard not to be afraid of demons. Okay. It is. But when you guys, when you start realizing, think about it, think about think about humans. Okay. Something's happened that's caused people to behave the way they are, or that they do. And demons do not incarnate into physical form. They're always on the astral planes. But the moment we don't buy into it, like I said, when I can do workshops, these demonic energies would start coming out, and it'd be like, I just like look at them and just say, really, and so there was no fear, but people just, just play with it a little bit. If you got stuff happening, if you keep reminding yourself that, they feed off the fear, okay? And this is in that fear, we have all that terror and fear, then we can't think clearly. We're not, we can't respond. But you might want to just play with it and confront it and see if you can just go into like a state of, even if you pretend like you're not afraid, okay? Just at least start getting that process happening, like, get out of here. Because I think I shared this before, but I'll share it again, because some of you probably may not have heard it, but I used to be under attack since the 70s. And when I'm, trying to wake up, and these things would just be, after me. So finally what happened was, and this was like in 2001, okay? And I had the wherewithal, like, wait a second here. These things don't have power over me. So this demonic energy was coming, red eyes, and I just turned around, and rather than running, I turned around and faced it and literally just like shut it down and said, get out of here. I really confronted it. It has not happened since. Okay. 24 years later. Is that right? Yeah. 2001 to 2025. Okay. But yeah, so years and years of my life being chased by demons, terrified, whatever, game over. The moment I was no longer afraid, the moment I turned and faced it and said, get out of here. Leave me, and then I started chasing it. Okay. So people, just put your big boots on, man, and just go after it. See what happens. It'll change everything. All right. So again, tomorrow, this is happening tomorrow. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. All of it, people. It doesn't matter. It's like, it's not even, it's like energies, it's consciousness, it's frequencies that literally feed off of energy. So, being in, like for me, I'm on the astral planes a lot. So there's a lot of times when things are trying to attack. But again, I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is. I know it can't hurt me. I know it. Okay. But I didn't tell you this piece. So way back in the day, when I used to live in Auburn, I used to spend time traversing. This is way back. This is like, when was this? Like in 89, 90, like right into there. I used to go into all the different realms and face all these demonic energies, all the different types of energies, all the different intense, horrible energies that were terrifying. And what I discovered was they can't touch who I am. They can't touch you, the eternal you. Okay? They can't touch your spirit, your soul, that light that you are. They can't touch it. They can't kill it. They can't damage it. Okay. When I got that piece, game over. No more fear. Okay. All right, everyone. So I'm going to get going here. And again, this is for tomorrow. So tomorrow, group clearing, fight, flight, freeze. So you might want to get in on that one. Okay. All right, everyone. Hope to see you there.